The Locust God versus Najeela the Blade Blossom. Are we going to draw into any ramp? We've got Frantic Search, Mystic Confluence. I don't trust that my opponent is not going to get Najeela down on turn 2. Nah, I'm just going to have to hope that our opponent plays as slow as we're going to. Doesn't matter what we play first, does it? Let's just go for an island, and that brings in the Sulphur Falls and the Castle Vantris in untapped. Okay, no fast mana for our opponent, but they do have a turn 1 play at the end of our turn in Brainstorm. Okay, another land for our opponent. I don't know if this is some kind of control build of Najeela, maybe. I'm going to show my opponent that we don't have any counter magic, rightly or wrongly. Nah, are we desperate to get down that Lightning Greaves? No, I'm going to pretend to hold up counter magic here in the hope that they don't go straight in for their commander. Because the sooner Najeela comes down, the worse it is for us. Oh, and our opponent missing a land drop is really, really bad. Yeah, especially when we keep hitting ours. We're going to hit ours for the next 2 turns after this as well. So this is just a case of dropping Reflecting Pool. We will pass the turn and hold up Frantic Search. But this is not looking promising for our opponent. Missing a land twice in a row pretty much seals the deal, I think. I mean, if anyone can come back, it's Najeela, but I don't hold up too much hope for them. Counter a blue spell. Well, if they want to counter a Frantic Search, that's fine with me. Red Elemental Blast from our opponent. We get into another counter spell. So I feel alright going for the Lightning Greaves here. Missing a land again. Yeah, this isn't a fair matchup, is it? Let's just get down the Castle Vantris. And we'll pass the turn again. We can hold up Mystic Confluence and Mana Leak. And if we don't go for any of those, we can go for the Scry 2 with the Castle Vantris. Okay, so I haven't gotten to use this card yet. We'll use it now. And see if we can clear some chaff off the top. A Vandal Blast and a Brainstorm. Well, we definitely don't need Vandal Blast. We'll keep the Brainstorm though. Then we draw into the Brainstorm. I think we're fine to get down our commander here. And then we'll go for the Greaves onto that. Okay, but our opponent has a Swords to Plowshares, so maybe shouldn't have been so hasty with that. I think we've got time to... We'll put a stop on the upkeep, shall we? And then we can maybe definitely get into a land next turn. Maybe definitely. Decided to go for the Locust God there because, worst case scenario, our opponent has a land, goes in for Najeela, and we just go for Jace to bounce it back. Let's go for Brainstorm here. Don't get into any lands. Let's put the Dig Through Time and the Mystical Tutor on top. Then also on the upkeep we can go Thrill of Possibility and clear those 2 cards off the top. And we'll discard Arcane Denial. And that way we draw into a different card off the top. And we managed to get into a land, so let's get down that Jace. But unbelievably, our opponent has a Force of Will in hand, so all they're really looking for is a land here. Our opponent obviously has a very capable deck that they've made, or our opponent is a capable player, I should say, and deck builder. They just can't draw into lands to save their life, apparently. What we could do for the fun of it is go for a wheel with Mystical Tutor and see if our opponent can actually get into lands off of a wheel. But I think we're just going to hold up Mystic Confluence and Dig Through Time and then probably go for Castle Vantris again. What are the odds of our opponent having more spot removal for the Locust God? Well, they're deciding to play it out, interestingly enough. So let's go for the Scry with the Castle Vantress. Gilded Lotus and Prismatic Vista. What can we do with that? That's 1, 4, 5. That's 3, 6 mana for us not to get into the Locust God. But I think we have to keep those on top. So let's go on top, on top. And then I think it's a case of passing the turn yet again in the hope that we get into Locust God next turn. Because I'm assuming that our opponent has something more for us here. Yeah, our opponent finally deciding to give up there. They see how much more mana we have than them. I don't think we've missed a land drop for most of the game there. And then ramping with a couple of rocks as well. I haven't seen such bad luck from an opponent in such a long time there. Turn 10, and they only got into 2 lands. And I think it's fairly obvious that they're a capable builder of decks. They've got Brainstorm, Red Elemental Blast, Swords to Plowshares, Force of Will, Fetches, Jewels. Yeah, I think they're just incredibly, incredibly unlucky there. And obviously, this game doesn't count, so let's try again. The Locust God versus Anafenza the Foremost. We are definitely keeping that. We've got some early game control, so just going to hope for a land into that Chromatic Lantern. A Scry land to start things off from our opponent, so let's just play that out and pass the turn. Maybe we can encourage our opponent to play around Force Spike or Spell Pierce, Swan Song, other 1 mana counter spells. Spell Snare's another one, isn't it? Just another tap land from our opponent, so we'll wait till the end step and get out a shock land. Okay, well, no counter spell for us, but we can go for Remand. In worst case scenario, we don't get into a land next turn and we can go Lightning Greaves. Just playing a land and passing the turn again. And still no land for us. Wow, well, we're going to hold up the Remand here because our opponent might do something on the end of our turn. We do want to draw. Well, they are going for something. It is an Abzan Charm, draw 2 and lose 2 life. I'm actually going to go for the Remand on that because our opponent's only got 4 cards in hand. But they've waited for our end step and we still don't get into a counter. I'm getting rid of that chain reaction. Then an Abzan Battle Priest on the end of another land. Alright, well, what do we have to do with that? Exile a card. Let's get rid. I think we have to get rid of Perforos, unfortunately, with that. Oh no, we don't. A blue card. We want rid of a blue card, definitely. So in that case, we'll get rid of the Cryptic Command, regrettably. Then we could go for Chromatic Lantern. But I'm going to hold up more counter spells. Probably go for an Arcane Denial so that we can get some card draw. Although our opponent's still pretty low on cards. They have not missed a single land yet. We might have to Arcane Denial just for the card draw. Swinging in, and we'll take a hit for 3. A land here would be really good because we could go Chromatic Lantern and hold up counter spells. Colonian Hydra we definitely don't want to see. Let's go counter spell on that. I don't want our opponent drawing 2 cards just yet. And we do get into that land, that is excellent, so we'll tap down like that. Go for the Chromatic Lantern and we're slowly catching up to our opponent on mana. Forgotten Ancient. Do we care about Forgotten Ancient? Not really, but I don't mind drawing some cards. Or our opponent will draw some cards, we'll only draw 1 off of that. Take another hit for 3. And then we draw 1, our opponent draws 2. And we get into Tech Edge. So we could go for our Commander if we wanted to. And a Mountain, yeah, so let's just drop the Mountain. And I think we go Lightning Greaves here. And that way we can go in for our commander with haste and shroud next turn. Noteworthy that our opponent isn't holding up white mana, so I don't think they've got a 1 mana removal spell. Getting into a land again. They've only missed 1 land this game. Thalia, Heretic Cathar. Creatures and non-basic lands enter tapped. I don't like that either. Apologies to my opponent for just countering everything, but it's the only thing that's kept us in the game so far. They're playing it out though. And they can go for their commander here if they want to. Now the problem is, I think Anafenza switches off our commander, doesn't it? If a non-token creature an opponent owns would die, put it into exile instead of the graveyard. Oh, they go for Night of Autumn instead. Okay. So maybe they've got a board wipe to play. There's Command Tower for us. I want to surprise our opponent with Tech Edge, so we'll get the Command Tower down. And let's drop our commander without Haste and Shroud. And we'll see if it survives until next turn. We actually want to change the zones on that, I think. Yeah, so it goes into the graveyard. You never know, our opponent might not play their commander yet. The Abzan Charm, did we remand that? Yeah, we must have remanded it. Oh well, forgot all about Abzan Charm. And that, oh, did it get exiled with that? Oh, it's exiled, so that goes back to the command zone. We can replay it next turn if we want to. They don't seem too eager to play out their commander here. Alright, going for Machias, the Lunarch. That's a good way to get some more counters onto your commander. It's Sulphur Falls, and we're just going to have to go for our commander again. Not going well for us this game. Only 1 card left in our opponent's hand. But if they remove our Locust God with Anafenza in play, we still have to play it out of the command zone. Anafenza switches off our Locust God's ability to come back out of the graveyard. A Corpsejack Menace. Well, that works well with Machias, doesn't it? That's infinite plus counters onto Machias, so every turn you can remove 1 and put 2 onto it. I imagine they get down their commander here. Don't know what they paid for there. Oh, they animated this land, okay. So they animated the man land and then went for Machias. Yeah, I wonder where that mana went. So this is now a 4/5 with lifelink, I think. Yes, lifelink on that. Yeah, so we're near enough done for here, aren't we? We just need to try and get a bunch of chump blockers into play, but it entails us drawing into a wheel, which doesn't seem as though it's going to happen. Mystic Confluence will draw us some cards. So let's go Tech Edge. We can block 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I think we have to just draw 3 cards with Mystic Confluence here. And then we get some Locust God stuff. This is not card draw, and it's instant speed. Perforos will not be animated. Let's just go for Dig Through Time for the fun of it. Okay, there's a Blasphemous Act. That will work. Blasphemous Act works very nicely, actually. Although, they can just animate the Shambling Vent, can't they? Force of Will. And another blue spell. Yeah, I think it just has to be that. So we can actually counter our opponent's commander. Yeah, it would have been really nice to go for Blasphemous Act there, but we're going to have to hold these 2 cards up to kill that thing off so that our opponent can't go wide on us. So it's just fingers crossed we don't see any trample now. Abzan Falconer. That gives the +1 creatures flying. I don't know if that matters because all of our stuff has flying as well. Yeah, we'll let that hit. Then animating the Shambling Vents. Putting a plus counter on everything. Let's just kill this off now. We're actually going to have to block with our Locust God, unfortunately. So I don't really see what we're going to do here. Oh no, we don't have to. No, we don't have to block with Locust God at all. I was counting on this thing swinging in, but it hasn't, has it? So now we can leave Locust God in play. That's actually huge. Let's go like that, that, and that. Now then, this is... we're going to have to put 10 mana into that to use it as a wheel, aren't we? Still relying on something really good from our opponent. I was wondering if we could get anywhere close to Perforos and get rid of our opponent. Something's giving lifelink here, isn't it? Yeah, this gives the plus counters lifelink. Curse of the Swine is good. We'll drop a land first of all. This will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. With no card draw there. Yeah, we're just 1 mana away from doing this. That's unfortunate. There's no way for us to draw cards here, is there? Apart from the Locust God itself, I think we have to just go for this and hope for something off the top. Alright, just another land. Then if we go 3 into X, they're still going wide on us. 1, 2, and 3. They'd still have 3 creatures. 4, 5. Yeah, they'd hit us with 1 boar and we'd be done. Well, we might get into the 1 mana wheel. So we'll have to just go for Locust God's ability again. Could also get into Brainstorm or something like that. Okay, Ancestral Vision. Well, it's close to a Brainstorm, but not quite. Oh, we could have discarded this, couldn't we? That would have been 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh no, we still would have been short. Yeah, that's okay. I didn't actually think of that. Using a loot effect to get rid of that, but yeah, commit is 4 mana. Our ability is 4 mana, so that would have made no difference, yeah. So I don't think we could have done anything here. We've still got creatures in play. Curse of Swine doesn't do anything, so I'm just going to go for Ancestral Vision. I don't think we'll survive long enough for it to be relevant, but we'll play this out anyway. We've got some extra insects in play there, so we can block everything, but we'll lose our commander. This still goes back to the graveyard, I think. Our opponent must cast their Anafenza here, surely. Well, they haven't gone for it before combat, and they're not swinging in with everything either. So again, they're not going to force us to lose Locust God, although if they swing in with this, we could just block that and yeah, we wouldn't lose Locust God anyway, would we? Just block there. We're after this wheel next turn. So we'll see what our opponent's got for us. Hopefully not removal. Well, it is an Elves of Deep Shadow. So not out of it yet. Draw another land at the beginning of the turn. Now then, how many cards are we going to draw here? You draw 7 cards. We're not going to have Force of Will up anymore, unfortunately. Yeah, I think we just have to go for the wheel without Curse of the Swine, unfortunately. I would like to get rid of that lifelinker, but I think we just have to remember the fact that we don't know what we're going to draw into. So we'll just have to hope for something good here. Argument to be made for going for Perforos, but again, I want to hold up counter magic. We refresh our opponent's hand, get back into the Mystic Confluence. There's Ashnod's Altar. Yeah, we're still a mana short. We're a mana short on pretty much everything there. We can go for... how many creatures? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, assuming everything swings in. We can sack a couple to Ashnod's Altar to get down both of our mana rocks there. And we might as well, because we can't cast Mystic Confluence or the Time Spiral, unfortunately. It's just a case of continuing to chump block. Problem is, our opponent has a full grip now as well. Sack an insect. And we'll go Arcane Signet. We'll leave an insect in play just in case. And we'll just tap out here. Perhaps should leave up Counter Magic, but I really don't think we're winning this one, so we'll just leave it at that. Stoneforge Mystic for our opponent, so they might be able to get some kind of evasion with that. Let's see. Or Trample or something. Loxodon Warhammer or Sword of Fire and Ice. Sword of Truth and Justice. Well, that's protection from blue, so that'll do it. It's good play by our opponent. We managed to stick it out longer than I thought we would. We just took too much damage for too long there. Managed to drag it out to turn 12, but we didn't get enough going quickly enough there. Some of our ramp has shown up in the late game and could have done with it sooner than this, but not casting the sword. Is this one that can exile? No. Okay. Well, that means that we can wheel away that sword. So putting plus counters on a bunch of stuff. Looks like they're just enjoying gaining life here. So we'll keep as many insects in play as possible. And then we'll sacrifice them in response so that our opponent doesn't gain life. If the insects aren't there to be dealt damage, then our opponent can't gain life with the lifelink. Unfortunately, don't have the mana for Mystic Confluence either. Now the question is, do we put something back into our opponent's hand with Mystic Confluence before going for the wheel? With an Ashnod's Altar in play, I think that might be an idea. How close are we to that thing anyway? Ancestral Vision. Still 3 counters on that. Okay, Snap Mage onto Mystic Confluence. Does that do anything? I don't think so. Don't really want to play Mystic Sanctuary yet, although we could go Mystic Confluence, play Mystic Sanctuary, and draw into the Confluence again, couldn't we? This puts it on top, doesn't it? Yeah, on top of your library. So let's go sacrifice an insect. Sack an insect again. Then it's Mystic Confluence. We're going to return some creatures to the owner's hand. We'll get rid of that one, the flying one, and the Machias. Okay, in reaction to that, putting a plus counter on everything. Then we go Mystic Sanctuary, put the Mystic Confluence on top. Say yes to that. And now it's Time Spiral. Get into a bunch of insects and untap 6 lands. They're obviously going to be our lands that we untap. Then we've got even more stuff here. We can go Gilded Lotus. Yeah, so we'll sack a couple of these. Go for Gilded Lotus. Oh, really? Oh, 83 life. Oh my god. I don't know if we were winning or losing or what there. You've got 83 life. What do you think we're going to do to you? Let's see what we were drawing into off of that wheel. Alright, so how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Thrill of Possibility would have drawn us a couple of cards. Probably would have done that first. More lands that are useless to us. Then we go maybe more card draw with Frantic Search to reveal more lands, and then a Winds of Change to get into a bunch more cards that are now off the screen. Yeah, look at that, bunch more mana. But we do get into another wheel, which I dare say we could have played. So yeah, Magic's not letting me draw now. We weren't knocking our opponent's life total down to 0. I think I would have gone for Vidalcan Shackles onto this thing as well. But we weren't getting into so many insects that we could take our opponent out of the game. Like I said, they're at 83 life. All I can think of is that with that fresh grip, they didn't like the cards that were in their hand, but we were going to wheel like another 2, 3, 4 times there, so knowing the Locust God and knowing that it wheels like crazy, you should probably keep hold of your hand and see if you end up with something better in a minute or two. Yeah, apologies for that. You got 2 games at least, and I really don't know what the outcome of that game would have been because we were just treading water for such a long time. I really didn't think that we'd last that long. I didn't think I'd be able to drag the game out that long. But maybe we could have cobbled together a victory there eventually. Maybe Cyclonic Rift and then into another wheel. Yeah, I don't know. We can wheel for an indefinite amount of time as long as we keep drawing into them, because there's cards like Time Twister and the new Eon's Time Twister that shuffles your graveyard back into your library, and therefore you get a bunch more wheels back in there. So maybe we would have brought out a victory there, but we'll never know now. Apologies, I'm just as disappointed as I'm sure some of you are, but I don't have infinite time to get these games, unfortunately. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.